used that asset.
Frequency as a Christopher Nolan film or a book that I read.
You've wrapped up a document in Illustrator,
it's all about the feel,
it's all about
the
input
mood
from others.
that
So
I
you
feel
invite
inside.
them to review and leave feedback. And soon you'll be able to invite designers and copywriters to edit right in your document
always
as
influences
well.
my work. And with that, I mean,
once you're
if I
happy
don't
with what
feel
you've
good,
created,
if I feel bad,
you share the cloud document with your colleagues and partner agencies so they can use your work to build other parts of the project. All right, the core assets are done, but every successful campaign needs great social media. And the social media team aren't creative professionals. No problem. We've integrated libraries into Spark so that the marketing team can create awesome social posts that include all the same assets. If you take a step back, it's pretty cool and a big sigh of relief. Everything is now connected, from your apps and documents to every type of asset you'll ever need across all of the people you work with. That is the power of a creative system at work. Over the coming months, you'll see more features for team and enterprise collaboration and more innovation when it comes to creativity on the web, so stay tuned. Okay, let's talk about Photoshop. It's probably the most used creative app in the world. We are in constant awe of the ingenious and beautiful things you create, and that motivates us to continuously innovate and roll out new features. Over the past year, the team has shipped updates monthly, including dozens of new features, resources, and improvements to the entire Photoshop system across desktop and on the iPad. And today, we have some pretty amazing new features to show you. But before we get to the demo, I mentioned we've been spending time checking in with many of you to see how your creativity helped you get through this insane year. So let's first hear from some of you, and then our very own Terry White will join us to show what's new in Photoshop.
High point during Corona.
Ooh, that's a question. Hey, oh no, she's gonna growl.
I mean,
the best moment of this pandemic, which is a very strange, weird thing to say, but it is coming up with this artistic style that makes me feel happy.
I mean, I guess the high point is kind of having to completely alter how I make things again. I have terabytes of photos that I haven't utilized, and for some reason, when I first shoot them, I'm really weird about it. Now I'm like, ooh, actually, come on back to the party.
I did a poster called Black Boy Fly, and so it was just the idea of liberation, freedom, joy, and just having fun. We were able to actually donate the proceeds from that, almost $5,000 to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund.
Cuando suceden cosas como lo del logo de AdobeMAX, ahí yo vi que mi trabajo que yo vengo realizando no es algo simplemente una pasión personal mía, sino que más gente también lo aprecia.
My niece made her own masks. I helped her, and she started her own Society 6 store. She's 9.
It's jazz, you know, you just start and things start to happen and you start to bring things in from previous ideas.
Every day I did like a 4-panel comic, like how I feel today. And that really helped me to cope a bit.
オンラインでどことでもつながれるので、応援し合ったり一緒に何かすることによって乗り越えていけたらいいんじゃないかと思います。
And like the best mask of all time. Look at this mask.
My friends were saying, this is you when we're finally seeing it, and that's pretty cool.
I'm really excited to be here to show you not only my favorite new features in Photoshop on the desktop, but also my favorite new features in Photoshop on iPad. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and start on iPad. I've got Photoshop here. I'm just going to go ahead and launch it. As you can see, I've got a scene that's almost ready to go, but we're missing our hero image. Let's go ahead and dive into the lion layer group here. I'm going to go ahead and turn the lion layer on. Now that I got the lion layer on, we need to cut it out from the background. So that brings up my first favorite new set of features, which is actually the Adobe Sensei-powered Select Subject and Object Selection tool. Now, I use those to cut out the elephant and the rhino, and they work great. One click, selects the subject, hit mask, and you're done. However, in this case, we've got a subject with fur or hair. So what I'm going to do is just go into Refine Edge. I'm just going to go ahead and turn on a little smart radius and increase my edge detection. we can already start to see the edges come through. But we're gonna use the Apple Pencil and the Refine Edge brush, and we're just gonna come in and like magic, Photoshop starts to reveal what those edges should look like. So I can just go ahead and just work my way around the lion, and it does an amazing job when I do that. I wanna just adjust that edge just a little bit on the right, and for that, because we have a mask, I'm gonna use my brush. I'm just gonna go ahead and start brushing that edge just at the top here to get it just right around that top edge, and it's great. Speaking of brushing, you can rotate your canvas to get the exact angle that you want to brush at. Now that I got the lion nicely cut out, we're gonna go ahead and switch back to the lion layer, and we're gonna do my next new favorite feature, which is a curves adjustment. So I can add a clipped adjustment, choose curves, and I get the same professional curves levels that I have on desktop. So I can brighten up those shadows, decrease the midtones a little bit, and just really create that highly contrasted image that matches the rest of my scene. Now that I've got that done, I can go ahead and turn back on my text layer. And my text layer is now turned on and looks the way I want it to look. And as soon as I close this document, it will save and be synced to my cloud documents so I can open it in Photoshop on the desktop. Speaking of Photoshop on the desktop, let's head there next. You might have saw in Jasmine's demo in Illustrator where she was using the new repeat pattern to create patterns. And now we have it with the brand new View Pattern Preview. I see what my pattern is going to look like already as I scale these two geometric shapes. It scales them proportionally, and I see it in real time. Now I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate that by holding down my Option key on the Mac or Alt key on Windows. And as I duplicate this down, I see that it's showing me the pattern that I would get, but I don't want just stripes. So what I'm gonna do is just free transform, right-click, and flip it horizontally to create the pattern that I had in my mind, and I can now visualize it. And as you can see, even as I scale out, the pattern is infinitely scalable and can fill any scene. So that's Pattern Preview in Photoshop. Now it's time for my favorite feature of the day, and that is, as a photographer, we go out on location and the sky doesn't always cooperate. So luckily, in Photoshop, we now have sky replacement. So when I go up to my edit menu and choose sky replacement, it can either use the skies that come with Photoshop, or you can import your own. So here's a nice cloud sky that I brought in. I'm just gonna go ahead and move it around to show that it's not static. And now that I've got this sky in place, let's really examine what's going on here. Not only did it have to replace the background, which was the sky, but it also had to mask the suspension ropes on the bridge to get them to look just right, and the trees down at the foreground. More importantly, what if I change the time of day? What if I go in and choose a sunrise or sunset scene? And when I do that, it not only replaces the sky, but it also has to figure out how to darken the foreground and color balance the foreground to match the sky. And it does that all in one click. So as soon as I click OK, I've not only got a great sky replacement, but it left me with all the layers and the mask so I can go in and work more on it if I need to adjust that mask. And those are just a few of my favorite features across both Photoshop on the desktop and Photoshop on the iPad. Thanks, everyone. Back to you, Scott.
Thanks, Terry. The Photoshop team is super excited about the new sky replacement feature and improvements to tools like Object Select and Refine Edge that make Photoshop on the iPad so much better. And all of that is on top of performance improvements that make Photoshop faster. Also, you'll be pleased to hear that we've upgraded extensibility for Photoshop and launched a new plugin marketplace right in Creative Cloud Desktop. There you will find Photoshop integrations not just from your old favorites, like Pro Add-ons or Pixel Squid, but new tools like Slack, Google Drive, Trello, and Dropbox. But that's not all. We have one more amazing piece of brand new Photoshop magic launching today. As you know, some of the most popular features in Photoshop are the dozens of filters that help you transform your images. These classic filters set the standard for the industry and inspired many of the social media apps that we use today. Well, we're taking filter technology to the next level. We call them neural filters. They're powered by Adobe Sensei and based on years of research. With neural filters, you can achieve results with just a few clicks that are frankly hard to believe. Let's take a look.
Sinners, traitors, turn to saviors all the time. Oh, it's fine. Mainstream makers, movers, shakers on the side. Oh, it's fine. I know you know what you wanted. We know it's time. You know, I know you want Nothing is done on the other. Nothing is wrong on the other. Nothing is gone to the other side. And nothing is lost on the other. Nothing forgot on the other. Nothing is gone to the other side. Gone, gone, gone to the other side.
Neural filters are live today in the latest version of Photoshop. Being powered by artificial intelligence, they get continuously better and smarter as we use them. And because they're designed as an open platform, starting next year, you'll be able to use the same intelligence to create neural filters of your own. You can learn more later today in Terry's session, but download the latest version of Photoshop and play with them. There are a lot of surprises in there. So that is neural filters. Now, occasionally at live events, we do a quick demo with actual audience members. Any volunteers? Conan?
You know, I'd rather not.
Great, come on up. We got a hold of a profile image. It looks more recent.
Yes, that is COVID Conan with the longer hair and the eyes that have died.
So, let's see if we can work some magic with Photoshop
Yeah.
here. So we've got neural filters open in smart portrait mode, and one of the first sliders here is happiness. And so let's crank that baby up here. You can see.
Oh, wow. Wow, that is a level of happiness I've never achieved in my entire life, and I have 2 children I love, happily married, never felt that happy.
Okay.
That's crazy.
Sliders work both ways, and sometimes you do want to dull an expression a little bit. So, and here's an extreme example of.
Ah, yes. Conan in high school, college, the 90s and early 2000s. That's the guy I know. That's the Conan I know.
Well, we'll then leave you at the happier state before we go on to the next demo here. Now, another thing that a lot of Photoshop customers spend time with is retouching and adjusting hair. It takes a ton of time. Neural filters makes that a lot easier. Here we have actually hair thickness as an example. I'll crank that baby down. You can see what it looks like.
Ah, the thinning hair. A possible future for me. We don't know. We don't know.
I'm happy to bring it the other way. I think that's maybe more your jam. This is Max hair.
I look like I'm in a Belgian funk group. I like that. It's got an Osmond family vibe. I like it.
Fair enough. So we'll leave it there. Last quick demo here is of the facial age slider.
Ooh, young Conan, otherwise known as Katie Couric in 1988. Look at that. Pledging a sorority. Hi, everybody. Good to see ya.
So, I mean, I'll just show you if it, the opposite here. So
This is
facial
how
age,
I'm going to age.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go extreme here.
Oh, wow. How did this neural filter know that I didn't take care of my teeth? Because
artificial intelligence at its best.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Anyways, so
no, that's awful. That's awful, and I need to get out of here and have a drink now.
Neural filters. Thank you. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No, I need a drink.
Behold